Today, lovely individuals, I would like to talk about parent abuse to children. We've all seen the news articles where parents kill their children. What I cannot show you is the constant issue of parents abusing their children, mainly verbally, but also mentally and physically, by degrading them, disrespecting them, threatening them, kicking them out of the house, so on and so forth. Most of what parents use as their baseline of defense is a verbal argument that is something like, well, because I said so, or respect your elders, or because I'm your parent, which really hold no value to any child, or anyone really, and it really shouldn't, because it's not really a logical standpoint. It's the because I said so, and because you say so, really doesn't mean shit when you're trying to have, a logical debate, or when you're trying to inform them, and that's probably one of the bigger issues. Information. Restricting information and diluting reality is a pretty big issue here in America. You see, because instead of being comfortable with reality, instead of being open about reality, instead of accepting what's actually going on, it seems as if people would rather ban it, or restrict it, or get rid of it. It's like one of my coworkers said, there's a gay guy on every movie and it's like they're trying to force it on us. No, sir. It's because there's homosexuals that actually exist. Like in Tennessee, you're not allowed to recognize homosexuality until at least high school. I believe I read that article a long time ago. But it's certainly the younger generations aren't allowed to know about homosexuality in Tennessee. Well, why not? Homosexuality exists. There are some kids that are homosexual. Just like the dumbass don't ask, don't tell rule. Yeah, there's people in the military that are gay. Now let's talk about why this is actually an issue. First off, your parents are being hypocritical. Why? Because they simply forgot about what their teenage years were like and what they did and were involved with their teenage years. I'll give you an example. There's a mother that I know that was outraged with her kid because the 16-year-old son had a porn magazine and a bottle of vodka under his bed. And I didn't understand what the problem was, because I'm sure if you ask any 16-year-old, they've all seen porn and they've all probably drank alcohol, and there's probably a good percentage of those that probably do it on a consistent basis. So watching porn and drinking alcohol at the age of 16 to me isn't a big deal, because it's exactly what I did. It's exactly what I started doing at 13. I always find it funny when we talk about, you're not an adult till 18 yet. In Amish times, at 13 you're an adult, and you're forced to get married and have a family, which involves sex. Another thing I don't understand why parents are all angry about. They're not allowed to have sex in my house, that's disrespectful. But you having sex in your house isn't disrespectful, only the children doing it. And here's something that doesn't make sense. If you have two people having sex, this one's not allowed to have sex in their house, this one's not allowed to have sex in their house, then both of these people are going to go have sex somewhere else. And that's not in either house. It's either going to be somewhere public, or in a vehicle, or in somebody's house that you don't know about. You don't know the environment, the people that are there, the cleanliness, or none of that. I can understand you not wanting to know about the sex, because some parents are simply just insecure with their children acting out normal behavior. Or simply my reasoning, because I don't want to get in trouble for my kids having sex, although I don't have kids. And that's also the same thing you could say with alcohol or drugs or anything else. If you're not going to allow them to have them, or if you're not going to allow them to experiment with these substances inside your household, then where are they going to do it? Outside your household. And where do you feel your child is most safe? Parents, answer that. Your household. So you're wanting them to experiment with substances and sex or whatever else you experiment with during your teenage phase outside of the safe haven, outside of the comfort zone. That's where you want them to do it. That doesn't exactly sound like you love or cherish or care about your kids. Another thing that doesn't ring a bell up here is that you want to kick your kids out for acting out the same behavior that you did. So you want to kick them out. So again, you remove them from their safe spot. You want to punish them, or you want to threaten them. That's a real good one. Yeah, like you're really going to kill your kids. Sure, there's a small percentage, but you're just being a douchebag, and a dumbass, and an asshole, all in one. Because all you're doing is making your kids hate you more. You see, your kids are slowly despising you, and it's building up like a snowball rolling downhill, because you're simply unable to accept the normal behavior that a human goes through in their teens. Because what happens when you turn in your teens? Your hormones rage, your curiosity starts flickering up here, you get a little bit of freedom, right? You're allowed to ride your bike now, maybe you now have a car. You know, you're no longer the person that has to rely on your mommy and daddy's control, really, of how you get somewhere. You know, you now have a little bit of freedom. And when you tell a kid no, that's bad, because that's all you really do. You just tell them that's bad, and because I said so, or because God says it bad, or whatever the reason is, you're not really giving them the information that they need to be able to make a critical and comprehensive decision on what they're about to be involved with. See, with my children, when I have children, I decided that I would like to be as open and informative as I possibly could. Because if you know everything you can about that, and you know that there are scientific studies that shows that as a kid you probably shouldn't be doing drugs, such as younger kids shouldn't be smoking marijuana because it can retard the growth of your brain, then that's something that they might say, oh wow, look at that, I may not want that to happen. You know, but later on, I'm not one to dictate your choices. You know, neither is the government. But as a parent, you should be open and informed and not restrict the information, because when you tell them no and it's bad and because you said so, all they're going to ask is, well, why shouldn't I? And why aren't you accepting of this? And what's really wrong with it? And is it really that bad? See, all these questions derive. And the only way they're going to be able to answer those questions is if they do whatever it is you're telling them not to do. So simply put, you are fucking up your own system. Does that make sense? You know, and there's really a lot of abuse that goes on to children. And, you know, a lot of parents say, well, the kids are disrespecting me. You're disrespecting your children because you're not accepting the normal phase that they're going through. You know, you're the one being an asshole. You're the one wanting to kick them out or threaten them or verbally abuse them or physically abuse them or whatever it is it may be. And I'm not saying you shouldn't punish your child. But a child needs proper guidance. And proper guidance along with information, correct information, is probably the best way about going things, in my opinion. I was fortunate enough to grow up in a household where my parents were very understanding. My mom absolutely despised the fact that I drank in teenage years. She had a problem with me smoking weed recently, which I finally got her to get over it. But I was always able to have sex in my home, and therefore I felt like I've lived a safer life than some people because I've simply been comfortable with coming home and doing whatever it is I want to do. Because instead of being out there, I'm here. And see, here is safe. Because here I don't have to worry about the cops. Here I don't have to worry about outside that door. Here I don't have to really worry about much, except for what's going on inside here. And I think that holds a lot of value. And when you're kicking your kids out or when you're threatening them, it really shows how much of a dick you're being. Because you're obviously not loving or caring for them. Because if you were, you wouldn't remove them from the only comfort zone they know. So I would just think about that, parents. There's a lot of terrible parents out there, and all kids are going to push their parents' buttons. And the parents are supposed to be the mature ones that can handle things, but they obviously aren't, and they obviously can't. So the kids, You know, be nice to your parents, to the parents. Fucking realize your